The following is being brought to you by WZROnline.com, your number one source for all your wrestling needs. WrestleZone Radio. WrestleZone Radio. WrestleZone Radio starts now. Join us in the live chat room by visiting WrestleZone.com during the show. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Cash and Nick, the man of 1,000 names.
So strong, so powerful, for the heart and the soul to headline WrestleMania. Oh, Cena counts, but not for long. Cena counter. The power of the Cena strength. Cena and Cena does it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2008 Royal Rumble winner is
when we started this historic night, the last man I thought that would headline WrestleMania would be John Cena, because I didn't think John Cena was physically able to return to combat in the WWE. And my, how wrong I was. Not only did John Cena return, he has prevailed. Unbelievable.
You saw somebody get the mixed reaction, that type of heat and that type of reaction that Cena, that obviously he gets every time he comes out.
Hogan in WCW. When Hogan first came in, he came in as this super babyface, and if you do some Googling or YouTubing, you can find those just horrible videos of Hulk landing in the Dungeon of Doom with the vastly underrated Kevin Sullivan and King Curtis Ikea. You can see all that stuff, and just how god-awful it was. The people were booing him like hell, but at the end of the day, he was still Hulk Hogan, and they still turned out to see him and still bought the pay-per-view and still bought the T-shirts and stuff. But I think you got to go back to Hogan in his initial WCW appearance. Now, all bets are off after the NWO angle. He was really over then. But back then, when he was supposed to be doing the red and yellow babyface with us, and they just booed the hell out of him, but they still paid to see him.
Guys, you're tuned in to WrestleZone Radio. A lot of people tuning in that's not in the chat room. Get there at WrestleZone.com/radio. It will take you right there. You can also email into the show and email WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. During the show, we'll be taking some emails. Let us know. I want to know your thoughts about the Royal Rumble, top to bottom, specific parts. It doesn't matter to me. Cena's return, of course, the big topic coming out of last night and probably going to be ongoing for a little while, as it was such a shocker to us. Email us in your thoughts, WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. We've got 5150 We'll Talk with Conan coming up this first hour, and then, of course, Christy Hemme, our featured guest, later on. Just announced earlier today also, Buff Bagwell is going to be coming on next week. I'm trying to get a couple of decent sized guests lined up as well, so make sure you stay tuned in to WrestleZone.com/radio, the radio section, for all updates regarding the show. Scott Hudson is my guest co-host tonight. Scott, still staying on topic with the Royal Rumble from last night. Gotta give WWE big hands up and big thumbs up, for the actual Rumble match itself. Phenomenally done.
I agree fully, Chris. I did some research into this, and there's really never been a bad Royal Rumble match. There have been arguably some that were leaps and bounds better than others. But say for the last 10 years, maybe longer, but at least the last 10 years, there hasn't been a bad Rumble match. Some of the pay-per-views haven't been all that hot, but the match itself has basically always saved the show. And I don't think it would be going out on too much of a limb to say that last night's, when you factor in everything, the wow factor, the booking, the long-term planning, and of course the work inside the ropes, bell to bell, that may very well have been the best Royal Rumble match we've ever seen.
A couple of confusing parts, though. I want to get it out of the way. Not major deals, but I guess supposedly they said Finley, was disqualified. But you and I were discussing before the show aired. Hornswoggle should go up against John Cena one-on-one or something, because I guess it's still undetermined who the actual winner is. Nobody saw Hornswoggle get eliminated over the top.
This would be the end of the WWE as we know it. If they pull something like that, this company might be beyond hope. And take a look at what happened last night. The goodwill with the fans, because they pretty much gave the fans what they wanted. The people that paid for the pay-per-view got an incredible value for their pay-per-view dollar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If they come up and pull what would amount to be, as much as I respect the man, it's entered into the cliche of the dusty finish out of this, and give the match to Hornswoggle on some stupid technicality like that just for the yucks or what they think is a creative booking idea, that may not kill the company, but it would certainly put it on life support for the foreseeable future. I hope they don't do it. I don't think they will, but it is telling, Chris, that we're having to talk about it, that they're capable of that.
Well, and actually, you know how they have their stooges checking the internet and stuff? When people do notice something along those lines, it's a very good possibility that it could get back to the creative, it could get back to Vince McMahon, and they might feel the need. They could obviously brush it under the rug, or they could feel the need to address it if it was by chance a slip-up. The possibility of it was just very confusing. I mean, the way that it went down in the first place. But who knows what's going to end up happening? We might even find that out tonight, obviously, if they are going to go somewhere in that direction. I seriously doubt it, though, because I know John Cena was probably the route they wanted to take. We'll take a quick break and get back into the John Cena discussion here in a minute and a little bit later on during the show. But I do want to take an email, which you can email into the show at WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. Email from Joseph. He said that he was at the Royal Rumble Live. Got a lot of emails from those that went to the show. They all had a blast, obviously, as well. Want to ask you, too, about the possibility of an HBK Undertaker match at WrestleMania. I know that the almighty Internet has said that Undertaker will challenge Edge for the title at WrestleMania, but from watching SmackDown the past few weeks, it would look like they are building to Edge versus Punk instead, giving that HBK eliminated Taker from the Rumble. Could you see this as a possibility? Scott, you want to answer that one?
That's a fantastic question, and very astute observation by the listener there. But I would be shocked if they did if they put the Undertaker in a world title match at WrestleMania. This is 2008. He's had an 19-year run. It's time to start elevating some of the other guys, and he certainly belongs in the show. The undefeated streak, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he belongs in the show in a spotlighted role. But putting him in the world title match, I agree. That might be a bit much. And putting Shawn Michaels in the mix, those two guys have torn it up before. I'd like to see that. That'd be a good use of both of them. I agree.
Ric Flair defeating the WWE U.S. Champion MVP a good way, apparently, from the live crowd. Huge pop from all the reports that I've seen for Ric Flair. And I believe, who was it? It was CM Punk and somebody else. I saw a live report that I guess, a news report anyway from Ryan Clark, I think, on WrestleZone, that I guess CM Punk and somebody else slipped into the crowd to actually watch Ric Flair's promo before it was Michael Hayes, that's right, yeah, before it was interrupted by MVP. But in my mind, we'll run through these real quickly. In my mind, a very, very decent match, I guess, and a good way to start off the show.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I mean, Ric Flair, Bret Hart said it in some interviews way back, and as much as I love Flair personally and professionally, I worked with him for a long time, he does pretty much wrestle the same match every time he's out there. But he's never wrestled that match with MVP. And MVP is a talented guy. I like him a lot. I like him to go places in the WWE, to be honest with you. I think he's got a really good upside. I'd take a marker on him, and, you know, it was good. You know, he certainly could stand the loss to Ric Flair in the Garden. You know, that's no great loss at all for MVP. And Flair, you know, I'm glad they're you know, winding his push down and his career down, because he just really is. And it's a hard thing to say, Chris, but he to me, he's starting to tarnish that legacy by sticking around any longer. So if this really is the final run and the final charge to retirement, that's okay. But God, let it be.
Right.
He's not looking that hot anymore.
Also, we had, moving on, JBL defeating Chris Jericho via disqualification. Excuse me. They're out on the outside, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Chris Jericho lands a chair shot across the head, and that's how they ended it, basically, although they've got the aftermath, of course, with Jericho getting his revenge, wrapping a cable around JBL that was inside the ring. Jericho pulls it over the top rope onto the outside of the ring, gets on the announce table, pulls it up, and expected this feud to go a little further past tonight, of course. Not the biggest fan of this feud. JBL, never been a big fan of his. And then on top of that, Jericho, kind of a letdown since his return. But I will admit the chemistry between the two makes this a fairly enjoyable feud on my part. Scott, do you agree or disagree?
I agree with you. Chris Jericho is a charismatic guy. JBL, as I've written about extensively at WZROnline.com in the forums and in the column, I don't have any use for him at all. But Jericho is a charismatic guy and still has enough talent in the ring. This is actually a really good use of both men. When Jericho came back with the Save Us campaign and the viral marketing of it, you know, Kevin Kelly and I had, you know, disagreed about what Jericho's impact would be, and I thought it would be negligible, if measurable at all, and that turned out to be the case. Not that I'm saying I told you so, Kevin, but I told you so, Kevin. Regardless, you know, this is a good use of Jericho. He needs to be in this role, mid-card to maybe a level above mid-card, but not main event. That's not where he belongs. This was a good spot for him. And, you know, even though JBL won the match, anytime JBL gets his hat handed to him and is brought down a peg, which I think happened, I like it.
Real quick before we move on, we've also got Conan coming up real quickly here. Kevin has a burning question. He says, who is going to be in the Elimination Chamber at No Way Out, and what will it be for? As it seems, as it turns out, Jeff Hardy, we've read, should be a part of that match. I would imagine you're probably going to have a lot of the regulars that are up there. They could throw in the Shawn Michaels. They could throw in the Ken Kennedy. Who do you think?
I like those three. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Hunter in there because he's had experience in that gimmick. But, you know, Kennedy, that's a good name. Jeff Hardy's a good name. But I think unless something drastically changes, I think we're going to see Hunter and Shawn in there just because that's kind of a match where they both have excelled in the past and done really well. And, you know, unless they've got some bright ideas for them that I don't know about, you know, that's a good use of them.
Sure. Real quick, the last thing wanted to get into... well, I guess we can quickly run down. We'll talk about the Royal Rumble. We still want your thoughts at WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. Email us your thoughts on the Royal Rumble. What did you think about the championship matches, specifically, first and foremost, Edge defeating Rey Mysterio in my mind, and I think you agree, a good match to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Scott, what did you think of that one?
Edge and Rey was a really good match. Boy, they just booed the hell out of Rey. for some reason.
Seems like New York does that all the time. They have one guy that they, one heel, one face. They're going to completely switch swap on you there.
Yeah, I hate that because Ray is, the one thing how can you boo a guy? That's a horrible thing to say because, I like Ray a ton and I've worked with him. He's a good guy and works hard. But how do you boo somebody that small against somebody like Edge, who's such a prick heel? But whatever. There's a good match. Those two guys, that was a good mix, good use of both men. I'm going to be honest with you, and this is very hard to say, Chris. I'm going to have to choose my words very carefully. I don't like Vicky Guerrero. I don't know her personally, but I don't like the character. I just don't like how they're using her, and it might just be because, the Eddie factor. It could be that, but that match, I don't think, other than, her coming out of the wheelchair and all that was, the old Ron Wright, Smoky Mountain, Money in the Bank thing. But, maybe she's run her course, I hope.
I'm with you there. And actually, they mentioned that apparently SmackDown, obviously, which we'll find out tonight for sure to confirm it, but I would imagine that's probably the route they're going to take, John Cena against Randy Orton. If that's the case, apparently, which I didn't even know this was a rule. In fact, I was thinking that they probably had it where both SmackDown and Raw competitors would enter the Elimination Chamber, but apparently that's not the case. So, looks like SmackDown is what people are telling me are going to get the Elimination Chamber this year, which...
that one
Well, I don't know. I still think there's a possibility that that's not going to be the case because, to me, I don't know what SmackDown guys I really want to see in there. There's a couple, but I think to make that an interesting match, which it always kind of has been, a pretty interesting concept and an interesting match, I think they're going to have to crossover at least, if not simply go with Raw, but. That's what they're saying. So if that's the case, then SmackDown guys will be in there, and you've obviously got Undertaker. I would imagine maybe that's how he'll get his shot. I'm not sure. Randy Orton, go ahead.
He would be the first one if they're going to use SmackDown talent. He's got to be number one on that hit parade.
Right.
It's who and the Undertaker is going to be in there. He's got to be.
Let's move on to Randy Orton defeating the Intercontinental Champion Jeff Hardy to retain the WWE Championship. My personal thoughts on this was that it ended rather abruptly. When you think of Jeff Hardy, and this may or may not be, I'm not saying he won't get it at sometime down the road, but this may be his only shot at least. Like I said, for a while at the championship, you really expected after a good match. Which I think that it was a pretty decent match up until that point. You expected a lot of near falls, at least for Jeff Hardy. He really only got to throw in one of his signature moves, didn't get to do the Swanton, and to me, didn't get to do the Twist of Fate either. So to me, I was thinking that you're going to have a lot of near falls with Jeff Hardy getting so close, but then out of nowhere, after he did try for the Twist of Fate, Orton counters, nails the RKO, and gets the cover, and it was just kind of over. And so, little shocked by that ending, but overall, I thought the match was rather entertaining. This was probably, besides the Rumble, the match that I was looking forward to the most, and I think they delivered up until that point. That's my personal take, but I was expecting a little bit more of a dramatic ending. Scott, real quick, what did you think?
I agree. It was the match going in that I thought had the potential. I'm going to have to say that Edge and Ray was the second best match of the night. Going in, I thought it would have been Orton and Jeff.
The Rumble, the match that I was looking forward to the most, and I think they delivered up until that point. That's my personal take, but I was expecting a little bit more of a dramatic ending. Scott, real quick, what did you think?
I agree. It was the match going in that I thought had the potential. I'm going to have to say that Edge and Ray was the second best match of the night. Going in, I thought it would have been Orton and Jeff, but Jeff seemed off in that the promo that he cut, and it just seemed like, I don't know, it wasn't like he had his demons were back or anything like that. He just seemed like they were building the match to have Jeff win, and then he lost. And so to me, if you do that, you know, any school of booking will tell you that if you build up the babyface like he's going to lose and he loses, you bury him. That's it. And so now Jeff Hardy's buried. And where they go with him now, you know, I don't know. I don't know what you do with Jeff after that.
Just a clean finish, and Randy Orton moves on. John Cena, Randy Orton ought to be a phenomenal build-up leading into WrestleMania if they do it right. I'm really looking forward to it. It ought to be very interesting to see how the fans react to Orton as he starts this program with Cena, because generally speaking, everybody that goes opposite John Cena is going to be a face every now and then in that program. And it's going to be interesting to see if Randy Orton gets that same reaction, because it's very, very possible, and that's going to be a sight to see, because he's truly over as a heel right now. But I think it's an interesting dynamic every time Cena is against somebody. I hope they don't turn him heel for a little while, but I would still like to see them turn Cena completely heel at some point. And I think that they're holding on long enough, and when he does it, it could very, very well have that same Hogan goes to the NWO effect. I don't know if you agree with me, because I don't think people are expecting it right now.
I agree.
If they do it right, of course, I think that at some point it could have that effect. Like I said, if they do it right.
Well, it's you know, this is old school from the 1950s forward. But the more over a guy is as a babyface, you know, he'll be twice that over as a heel. And you can say what you want about John Cena, he is at least recognized. He has that it factor. And if he goes full-blown heel, you know, the people that are cheering him now are going to boo him, and the ones that are booing him now are going to boo him twice as hard. So that's, you know, a full-fledged heel turn by Cena is, you know, again, to coin a phrase, money in the bank.
Guys, you are tuned in to WrestleZone Radio. We're here live every Monday night, 7 to 9 Eastern. My special guest co-host is Scott Hudson, Nick the Man of 1,000 Names. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We'll keep you updated, of course, as will Matt Boone and Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark, sick as a dog, definitely ill, something along already dead. I'm not exactly sure. We'll follow up with that this week as well. Matt Boone and Ryan Clark ought to be back next Monday as well. We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back on the opposite side, 5150 Real Talk with Conan. Probably, in my mind, the most entertaining audio segment that's out on the net anywhere. Conan, a phenomenal guy. Can't wait to have him on live. Got a big announcement regarding 5150 coming up as well. And then Christy Hemme, our featured guest, live in the second hour. So, guys, stay with us. Join us in the chat room and email us your question at WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. We'll be right back with WrestleZone Radio. John Cena's return. He wins the Rumble. Looks like he's headed to WrestleMania to more than likely, unless, of course, plans change, wrestle Randy Orton for the title, as opposed to what we all expected to be the match, Triple H challenging Orton for the title. Out of curiosity, Conan, what do you think?
No, well, I think, you know, Triple H against John Cena is a bigger match. Maybe that's why, you know, it was booked that way.
What are your thoughts? I don't know if, I'm sure we've talked about it in the past on 5150, but refresh our memories. What are your thoughts on John Cena specifically?
Cena, I just think, you know, he's a guy that he broke in with a gimmick that really wasn't him. You know, the thug, you know, rapping and all that. And then he does a video that he's like from a, you know, middle income home, you know, in the suburbs of Boston. You know, you figured out right there the guy wasn't from the streets. I think at the beginning that might have hurt him a little bit, but once they let him get into the character that he's morphed into right now, he's extremely popular, bro, and he has had a lot of good matches lately, and you know, he's living up to the billing. I mean, he's no Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit in the ring, but you know, he's the man right now in WWE, and you know, obviously he's money because when he came out, now I heard he got booed when he came out, right?
Well, I think they probably popped immediately as soon as they heard the music. But then, yes, he definitely got the same mixed reaction he's used to getting.
Yeah, that's that New York crowd. But let's face it, I mean, he's your top merchandise seller, and that's saying a lot. Not everybody can do that. But huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to be done. But on a quick aside, I mean, speaking of someone getting booed, your boy, man, Rey Mysterio, I don't know if you've read the reports, got booed extremely hard during his match with Edge.
Yeah, I talked to him about that. Well, you know, it's New York, bro. You know, New York's a hip crowd. They're like Toronto. You know, they ain't afraid to boo a baby face or boo a guy that they think is too much of a baby face. You know, I think they like faces with an edge, you know. That's why I'm sure Taker would never get booed. So, you know, the really ultra baby faces, they boo the hell out of.
And Scott, make sure that you jump in here with some questions and everything for Conan. Guys, you can email him in at WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. I would like to ask you, Conan, Triple H, kind of surprising to us that he didn't end up going over. In fact, within the last, couple of years, he's really done it. And I guess I can also compare this to Jeff Jarrett, because at one time you had the Triple H show over on the WWE side, and of course you had the Jeff Jarrett show on TNA. But both have impressively enough stepped aside and allowed some others to take those top spots. And I guess we really expected, and I still expect it to be sooner rather than later, Triple H will be back on top. But Conan, from what you've heard and what you know about Triple H, do you think this is just him doing the right thing and we're all praising him for it, which is exactly what he wants? And if that's the case, do you think that he's got some sort of political agenda behind his motives?
Yeah, well, I just think two things. Obviously, he must like John Cena because he doesn't really go out of his way to bury him, and he protects him. He did lose the title to him last time. So Cena's somebody that he believes in going to be taking the company to the future. And but you know, he's selfish. I mean, you know, I have enough friends that have told me that. And you know, we've seen how he almost single-handedly destroyed the tag team division, and how many times he's destroyed Umaga, and you know, but I think that maybe two things. One is to get a little bit of heat off of him, so it doesn't look like he's always hogging the spotlight. He can always say, look, I let Cena, you know, I gave him the title and we've protected him. And I don't know. I just think that, you know, he's selfish, you know, and this is just probably his way to get a little bit of heat off of him. And I also think Cena is a very attractive opponent for him in the future, so he wants to make sure Cena's as strong as he can be before he beats him.
Another thing that's been going on lately, and I wanted to get into this, and then we can talk a little bit more about the Royal Rumble. Of course, Scott, you and I will discuss that a little bit later on as well. But Conan, really want to know your thoughts, and Scott, you and I will also address this in a little bit as well, because I know you've got some interesting thoughts as well. But big news story of the week is Bobby Lashley not returning now to the WWE. The story first broke on his website, I believe. A lot of people were very hesitant to believe him because it does kind of come as a pretty big surprise to most of us. But Conan, were you shocked by this?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I can only read between the lines because I think he wrote somewhere on his blog that somebody either didn't want to do business or it was something personal against him. What was it that he said? Do you remember?
I think the main thing that we're hearing, I mean, he hasn't been real happy for a while, and I know one of them specifically, one of the reasons at least was, I guess about Crystal, who he was seeing at the time, if he's not still seeing her, not wanting to do some sort of racist storyline, I guess, and they let her go, so he's very vocal and very upset about that. And a source of mine actually told me when they were hearing, or what they were hearing was that incident, I guess, caused him to verbally go off on The Office, and who The Office is, he didn't necessarily say, but you can probably guess who that would be. Went off specifically about that incident. So that's the main one that I know, and you did hear reports about him possibly trying out for MMA as well here in the future.
Yeah, well, if you're going to lose your job, you know, saving your bitch. Fuck that, bro. You know what I'm saying? A lot of money. That's straight up lazy.
So this Thursday, make sure, hosted by Scott Hudson, the mediator. Basically, we've got WrestleZone's babyface, I guess you could call yourself, Conan, against the heel, which I think he kind of brings it upon himself. But even if he didn't try, I think Glenn would still find a way to attract that heat from our fans and stuff. So a lot of people already mentioning in the chat room how it's going to be a fantastic debate, and I agree. So this Thursday night, live on WrestleZone.com, we've got the great debate along with 5150 kind of combined in one. Conan against Glenn Gilberti on the TNA storylines as of right now. So look forward to that.
He's probably the nicest, most unlikable guy I've ever met. You know what I'm saying? So he's very unlikable, but he's a nice guy. You feel me?
Yeah, because, and I agree, and it's kind of the way that he comes across, which it's sad in the fact that I don't know. To me, he's probably, along with you and well, hell, all of them I find in entertainment, but the way that Glenn goes about his articles, to me, is probably one of the most enjoyable reads on WrestleZone.com, and I really wish people would give him a little bit more of a chance, because he does come across as, hey, I know what I'm talking about, but so do you, and so does everybody else that writes for the site. It's just he gets nailed for it, and I hate it. I hate it for him, but he does, and I think he likes that attention, but he handles it a lot better than I would, But yeah, he's a good guy though. I love Glenn to death, man. He's really intelligent in my opinion, but he does stand behind the Shark Boy Stone Cold gimmick, and
he's going to get torn up for that, and I can't even believe he accepted this debate, because there's no way he could defend TNA with a straight face. He might be wearing a mask during the debate, but there's nobody that could defend that booking.
I know. Scott, before we get out of here, man, what do you got for Conan?
Conan, while you've been talking, I dialed up this YouTube video you were talking about with Vince and Tank Goldberg, and unbelievable. I'll tell you what, if Goldberg was working really snug with Tank when he ran out and brawling with him, so you might be onto something there. Obviously, I don't remember that part of it. I was just, in self-preservation mode when those two behemoths were working around us. But in hindsight, yeah, he was really roughing Tank up. So that was a fun angle.
I think, yeah, but he was brutal. If you see when he's roughing him up, I forgot how bad he really was. But then again, he was working with Tank, who couldn't work either. But I think in a real fight, I think Tank would have knocked Goldberg out.
If he could have got that one shot in, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, they did. It just the part where they turned the table over on us. Oh my God, that was scary.
Yeah. I had never seen that before, so I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, that was.
What do you follow MMA or no?
Yeah, some. There's just so many out there now. I kind of limit myself.
Well, UFC.
Yeah.
What do you think of Frank Mir and Lesnar?
I think unless Lesnar has gotten fat or soft or something over the last couple of years, I think he'll beat him. But when Lesnar steps up in caliber of opponent, I think he's going to get exposed.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Frank Mir is a very good caliber opponent, and he's a submission expert, and he has beaten some top guys. His problem is that he gasses too quickly. But he is a formidable guy. Lesnar could lose against Mir.
That would be. The flame out potential is off the charts. Yeah, if he loses to Mir, it's one and done for Lesnar, because I think they're looking at Mir not as like a bum of the month, obviously, but I don't think they are holding out any hope that Mir's going to beat him for that very reason. And I think they're looking at Lesnar going up a couple of levels.
Yeah. But that's going to be a good fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It'll be good. I'm really looking forward to it. It's not UFC, but I want to see Tank Abbott and Kimbo Slice. That's kind of got like a train wreck draw to me.
Right. Well, I think they're both going to go at it right in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I think Kimbo will kill him.
Yeah. Well, he's a younger, stronger guy, but
right.
You know, you got to give Tank credit. He's been paid a lot of money to get knocked out by some of the best.
Hey guys, I want to bring up some people in the chat room asking a few questions, and guys, about Conan leaving TNA and stuff. That was, I believe, on the first 5150, which you can still find on WrestleZone.com. So please go back and listen to that one. However, there is a guy in here asking, and I may reword this a little bit, but speaking of WCW, which Scott, of course, it's appropriate for you as well. The Flyers man in the chat room brings up, Conan, how close was WCW actually to putting WWF out of business, and how many more weeks would it have taken in that 86-week in a row span for them to have put them out of business? I'll let you answer that question, but I am kind of curious to knowing both of your opinions on whether y'all actually thought during that time, if it ever crossed your mind, that y'all had an opportunity to put Vince McMahon out of business.
Well, it did cross my mind just because you were hearing how bad their business was. And I know and I didn't know this till Ed Ferrara, who used to write for WWE, came to WCW with Vince Russo, and they brought this guy with him called Bill Banks. I mean, they told me that they actually went into the offices and they took out all the, like the Sparkletts water cooler and all that. And that if you wanted to make a long-distance phone call, you had to log in the number that you were calling and, how long you called. So I guess things were getting really bad. I mean, you got to remember, we had a huge momentum swing. We had Hogan, Hennig, Piper, Macho, Hall, Nash, etc. We had all these people we had taken from them, and it takes time to build new stars. And from what I understand, I'm not saying that we would have put them out of business completely, but I'm sure that they would have had to downsize a lot.
Right. Scott, you have any thoughts?
I agree with everything Conan just said. I heard the same stories when the creative crew came down from the WWF to WCW. I don't know that. I agree with Conan. We wouldn't have put them out of business. They're never going out of business. Vince McMahon has too big of an ego to do that. But making them downsize, making them cut back, they could have been cut back enough to where they would have been a very palpable number 2 promotion. And even though in the end they won the war by buying us out and putting us under, at that point I think we could have said we won the war if they became TNA to our WWE back then. I could have seen that happening, but not out of business. No.
And let me tell you another thing. I just thought that they were brilliant in the way they came back because, they first started it off with that great angle with Mike Tyson, which got him a lot of real good mainstream publicity. They didn't use, what was that football player's name TNA used? They didn't use Andre Rison or Wycheck or, all these other people that you've never heard of. They used like the king of, one of the top most popular guys, Mike Tyson, and that angle. And I don't know if you remember this, Scott. Then which I thought was brilliant, remember on Super Bowl during halftime they gave a free match?
Right.
I don't know. And then they also had an ad in Super Bowl, which is a most watched, everybody knows, most watched program. And, and then they were smart enough, and maybe you can say, well, it doesn't take a genius to push Stone Cold and The Rock. But, bro, all you got to do is look at, other guys, even like in TNA right now, when Monty Brown was real strong, they never really pushed him. When LAX was strong, they never really pushed it. So sometimes there is shit right in front of you and you don't push it. But they were smart enough to push Stone Cold and The Rock, and Mick Foley, and that really brought them back in DX. So, the way they came back, I thought was a great story in itself.
I agree fully. And, they kind of started to, you could feel the momentum shift when they had Lightning Kid and Hunter show up in that tank, over there at Atlanta Road, here in Atlanta at the WCW headquarters. You could really feel the momentum shift, and they went to them to CNN Center too. That opened my eyes. I thought, wow, they'll do anything, to come back in this fight, and That's what they did. They did everything they had to do. I admire them, and will forever, because they were on the cusp of becoming, a number 2 promotion in the country, and they wouldn't settle for that. They wanted to be number 1 and ended up being the only one left.
Right.
Yeah, it almost seems like whenever they're in trouble, they put all their resources together and they come up with a big star or a big angle or something. But, to answer that caller, I think me and Scott are in agreement. They might have downsized, but you're not going to put them out of business unless some huge scandal puts them out of business.
Guys, you're tuned into WrestleZone Radio. I'm Chris Cash with special guest co-hosts Scott Hudson and Conan, WrestleZone.com exclusive 5150 every single week here on WrestleZone.com. In fact, this Thursday night, a part of 5150, a live debate between Conan and Glenn Gilberti on the current creative in TNA. Looking forward to that as we begin hour number 2. We're going to need to take a short break. Don't forget, though, coming up in about 25 minutes, we've got, matter of fact, I believe, Conan, if I'm not mistaken, it's your favorite diva, Christy Hemme, coming on the show.
Yeah, she is my favorite diva, TNA, the woman most talent.
And nevertheless, Conan, it's always a pleasure. Guys, if you like talking or like hearing his thoughts, which if you're like me, and I believe you are, most people do, you can go into the official forums of WrestleZone.com and submit questions on a daily basis. Conan is probably the most active person in there, along with Glenn Gilberti, in the forums, answering your questions. Scott Hudson is also in there, so go answer. He's like a freaking dictionary for wrestling, in my opinion. You can ask him absolutely anything all the way back, as you can probably remember, and he's probably going to know about it or have heard about it and have an opinion about it. So go ask Scott Hudson your questions. Go ask Conan and Glenn, along with Kevin Kelly and Chris Masters as well, in the official forums of WrestleZone.com. And then make sure you tune into 5150 every week on the website. So, Conan, it's been a pleasure. Any final words, man, before we let you go?
No, I hope everybody will tune into the great debate moderated by the great Scott Hudson. I think the first one was a success. I've had a couple of the candidates call me and want me to write, little keynotes for them, but I told them, no, I'm too busy with WrestleZone 5150, real talk. All that,
sure.
To live and die in LAX, that's my shit. Boom.
Conan, we appreciate it, man. Guys, we're going to take a short break, and we will come back with more discussion. We're going to take your phone calls, actually, as well. Scott, you're up for some phone calls?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take some phone calls since we've got some time before Christy Hemme comes on. We'll take your calls about the Royal Rumble. We'll take your emails at WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. And get your pins ready, guys. Here is the phone number to call into the show after this commercial break, and then we'll start taking your calls until Christy Hemme comes on. 540-551-4869. Somebody relay that into the chat room so I don't have to do it. One more time, here's the number, 540-551-4869 to call into WrestleZone Radio and ask your question for myself and Scott Hudson. Again, we will be right back on the other side of this commercial break.
Where do you go online to check out videos, movie news, trailers, sports, and video games? Allow me to make it easy for you. Head over to www.WZROnline.com. We have everything I just mentioned and a whole lot more, including message boards, hot women, and tons of humor and comedy content that'll keep you laughing for hours. If you have an interest in something, I bet we'll have you covered at CraveOnline.com. That's www.CraveOnline.com. I'll see you there. Hey, you, right there, the one listening to this show. While you're tuning into this broadcast or when you read the news on WrestleZone.com, are you forming opinions of it all? Or do you just agree with everything you see and hear? If you actually have some sort of afterthought, which, by the way, is normal, we want to know what it is. There are thousands of wrestling fans just like you that simply can't hold their thoughts in either. And they let it all out in our interactive forums. You have a voice, so use it. Simply visit forums.WrestleZone.com. Don't just be active, be reactive in the official WrestleZone.com forums. For all the latest in mixed martial arts, be sure to visit WrestleZone's sister site, SureDog.com. Complete with daily news, exclusive video, interviews, live radio broadcast, interactive forums, and the very popular Fight Finder with bios and complete match-by-match histories of your favorite fighters. SureDog is the only place you need when it comes to mixed martial arts. Visit SureDog.com today.
Available now on DVD. John Triton is on the toughest, most important mission of his life.
You have a hostage. It's my wife.
And with everything on the line,
I gotta do something, and I gotta do it now.
Nothing and no one can stop him.
See, I tried to kill this guy twice today.
Now, see the Marine in a whole new way with the unrated version. Get more edge-of-your-seat action, more mind-blowing explosions, more of the Marine. This unrated version features material too hot for theaters, plus special behind-the-scenes features. John Cena is the Marine. Only unrated version. Available now on DVD. Rated version also available.
On March 9th, for the first time ever, the superstars of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling invade Norfolk, Virginia with Destination X. Kurt Angle, Booker T, Christian Cage, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and many more. TNA's Destination X live Sunday, March 9th at the Norfolk Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. Tickets are on sale now at all Ticketmaster outlets. The Norfolk Scope Arena box office are charged by phone at 757-671-8100.
WrestleZone Radio. New faces. New sound. New technology. WrestleZone Radio is back and better than ever. Join your new host, Chris Cash and Nick, the man of 1,000 names, every Monday night for the most informative, entertaining, and sometimes controversial radio show anywhere online. The Not News of the Week, in-depth discussions, interviews with today's biggest stars, prank calls, your call, and more. We cover the top stories around the world of professional wrestling, so don't miss it. Live Monday nights from 8 till 10 Eastern. Here on WrestleZone.com. It's WrestleZone Radio. Wrestling talk redefined.
WrestleZone.com. WrestleZone.com. When something takes place in the world of professional wrestling, you know where to go. WrestleZone.com. WrestleZone.com. Covering all the latest breaking news daily. Interactive forums where you can chat with thousands of other wrestling fans. Exclusive editorials and audio features by some of today's top wrestling superstars. Exclusive video content, weekly polls, live play-by-play coverage of every WWE and TNA pay-per-view. And now, featuring WrestleZone Radio, live, with news, in-depth discussions, debates, and interviews with wrestling's top stars, past and present. When you think wrestling, think WrestleZone. WrestleZone.com.
If you want more global impact, this is the must-have DVD of 2008. With over 3 hours of footage, never-before-seen interviews, bonus features, and all 6 matches from start to finish. Global Impact is your front row ticket to all the action, drama, and so much more. TNA Wrestling and TNA Home Video presents Global Impact, coming soon to DVD. Go to TNAWrestling.com for details.
Hi, my name's Adam Nudelman, but I play the Phantom on the radio. I'm here to remind you that, screw that, my book, Mysteries of Wrestling Solved, is available at finer bookstores everywhere. That stupid fake voice, I hate it. I wrote a book along with Sir Adam Kleinberg called Mysteries of Wrestling. It has the questions that you wanted answered. Why does Steve Austin hate Jeff Jarrett? Are referees really blind and stupid and dumb? Who is actually the toughest wrestler in the business outside of the ring? Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kamala. We get down and dirty with insider facts you've never read about anywhere else. So what are you waiting for? It makes a great stocking stuffer. You're too short, you buy 3 of them, you get taller, you just stand on them. Mysteries of Wrestling Solved by ECW Press, written by Sir Adam Kleinberg and Adam the Phantom Nudelman. Available everywhere. It's done. The plug is done. I'm done. I didn't sell it well enough. There's naked pictures of China in there. Okay? Thank you.
Creatures of the night. This is the Underfaker. I may sound like the Undertaker, but I'm different enough to avoid a lawsuit. When I'm not burying my victims, I'm listening to WrestleZone Radio. Rest in. Word censored at request of World Wrestling Entertainment.
This radio broadcast is being brought to you by WrestleZone.com. WrestleZone.com. The #1 source for all your wrestling needs.
.40 551-4869. Wait, 4869 or 40? I think it's 4869. Yeah, that's right. And want to throw a quick shout out to the chat room at WrestleZone.com/radio. You can go there yourself, and you can also email into the show at WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. I want to throw another shout out to our producer for tonight, Will. He's in the chat room. And he also did the design and the development of the radio site for us. He'll be doing a little bit more work with WrestleZone as well. And I think he made a commercial as well or something for tonight's show that I hadn't heard, that Undertaker one. That was kind of cool. I don't think that's the one that I did anyway. But nevertheless, Will, really appreciate your work. Taking your phone calls, 540-551-4869. Let them begin. Christy Hemme coming up here in about 15-20 minutes. We're talking about the Royal Rumble from last night. We're talking about John Cena's return. Of course, we're talking about Bobby Lashley as well, not returning to the WWE, which, Scott, I know you've got interesting thoughts about Bobby Lashley.
Chris, you and I spoke before we went on the air tonight, and Bobby Lashley, it's from the very beginning, this guy, there was an old, I'll put it this way, there was an old line that used to go about wrestlers, whatever it is, he doesn't have it. And Bobby Lashley never had it. He's a gassed up freak with, to his everlasting credit, and God bless him, a legitimate amateur military wrestling background, which for my money is the toughest background to get and excel at like he did. But that was it. And there are guys out there who maybe didn't reach the level that Lashley did in the amateur ranks that would have been a much better fit than Lashley. But you would think that someone like Bobby Lashley, who isn't talented, can't cut a promo, is tough as nails, but so what? This is a work sport. You would at least appreciate the fact that he is at the pinnacle of the sport, never having paid dues there and having no discernible talent to keep himself there, but yet he was there because he was a gassed-up freak, and he didn't even appreciate that. And like Conan said earlier, David Away because of his girlfriend, give me a break. If that's that's the moral compass he has, good riddance.
Hey, we got a phone call. Caller, please turn down the volume in the background if you don't mind.
Hello?
Hey, turn down the volume, man. You there?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air, man.
Oh, snap.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. Hey, what's up?
Hey, man, thanks for calling into the show. Guys, when you call in, definitely turn down your volumes and everything, just in case, of course, you do actually get picked up. You're live on the air, man. You got a question or a comment?
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, man. What's your question?
Well, it's kind of strange because I can't hear you on the radio.
What do you mean you can't hear me on the radio?
Do you have separate shows or something? Because somebody else is talking or something. No.
I think you're hearing me, man.
So
Well, hey, you're live on the air though. Actually, if you want to, it'll catch up with you on your radio deal in a minute. You'll hear yourself and everything. That being said, you got a question for myself and Scott?
Yeah. Why does Stone Cold don't wrestle anymore? Why doesn't he wrestle?
All right, appreciate the question. Maybe we can also keep the questions related to the Royal Rumble and maybe Bobby Lashley. But since he brought it up, Stone Cold Steve Austin left WWE. Hell, how long has it been now? He's doing movies and stuff now. The Condemned, obviously. I think he's probably going to do another one or two in the future as well with WWE's television deal or their movie department. And other than that, I don't actually remember. Was it creative differences this last time that?
Well, overall, Chris, to answer the caller's question, you got to go all the way back to '97 when he was basically paralyzed in the ring by my friend, the late Owen Hart, taking that tombstone pile driver on a WWF pay-per-view. And he was paralyzed for, the better part of 2 or 3 minutes, and Owen just laid down and pulled Steve on top of him and took the pinfall, and then Steve couldn't move and ended up getting it back together in the ring and staggering out. But since then, physically, he's never been close to 100% and has worked a very limited schedule. And if you notice, when Steve is in the ring, he's got the mother of all leg braces on each leg because he pretty much has trouble standing for lengths of time and certainly, doing, athletic wrestling moves, to coin a phrase, like they say, like a football move. He has a hard time making wrestling moves because of the damage, the residual nerve damage still done to his legs. And now he's 45, 46 years old. So I think he works whenever he wants to. Whatever creative differences there has ever been between Vince and Austin go away after about 20 minutes. They know that they're both good for each other, and he'll be back if Vince needs it.
Well, and obviously that's why he doesn't wrestle. But then on top of that, he had been put into the kind of managerial roles, not I guess managerial roles, but the general manager role and what was it, the sheriff role and stuff like that. At one time, they were also talking that there, and that still may happen, has a possibility of wrestling one more, maybe two more matches. It looks like that's becoming slimmer odds, but nevertheless, you will see Stone Cold on WWE television again sometime in the future. We got another caller. You're live on WrestleZone Radio. You got a question?
Yeah, this is Jerry. I kind of had a question / comment. I was just going to comment on how the Rumble, I thought, was probably the best in the past, it's 10 years, if not ever, and they really must have kept John Cena's return in wraps, like hiding, because I heard nothing about it, And I guess his recovery's going really well. But my question was what you guys think that they're going to do with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. I think that they're probably going to do him and Undertaker because they kind of started a feud, but then I thought Edge and Undertaker were still going to fight. So I thought maybe Hardy will win the Elimination Chamber and then he'll face Edge at WrestleMania. Just wondering what you guys thought.
Good call in, good question. And we talked about this earlier, Scott, about my opinion, though, maybe even though that would be a really good matchup and make it a very intriguing pay-per-view, at least in that match specifically, Scott, do you think maybe it's a better idea, however, to break them up and utilize them to put over some of these upcoming stars? Because as we know in the past, generally when you pair someone up that you want to put over against Shawn Michaels, and then on the flip side, separately against Undertaker, especially at the big big pay-per-views like WrestleMania, they always deliver, and that might be a little better route to take. Your thoughts?
I agree with you, except for one thing, and that is it's WrestleMania. They're not going to use WrestleMania to elevate more than one person, and if that. WrestleMania, is the Super Bowl. They're not going to break in rookies, or start a rookie in the Super Bowl for his first match. It's just not going to happen. So I would think if they were, if this were SummerSlam or Survivor Series, pull Undertaker and Shawn away from each other and let them elevate some new talent. But at WrestleMania, and I stand to be corrected. God, you can go broke, trying to second guess the WWE booking. But I would think that that's a good use. I agree with the caller that putting those two together, and actually Hardy and Edge is an intriguing matchup as well. I just don't see, what they can do with Hardy now. They would have, a couple of months to build Hardy back up before Mania. But boy, after that, just, killing, burial, internment, place atop the funeral pyre and strike the match they did to him last night. It's going to take a lot to rehabilitate Jeff Hardy. He certainly can be. It's going to take a lot.
And I do want to clarify, I don't necessarily mean a green pea by any means, but, a Kennedy and stuff like that. Sometimes, those are, you can deliver with a guy like that as well. So I guess those are kind of more along the lines of who I'm talking about as far as talent to put over. But I guess I actually do agree with you, Scott, and I do think that at Triple H, or at WrestleMania, I keep wanting to say his name for some reason, at WrestleMania, you do pull out all the stops. And if that match is going to draw, you definitely put it on there. Let's take another phone call real quick, and then I'm going to take a couple of emails as well. And caller, you're live on the air.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man? You got a question real quick?
Yeah, I got a question. Hey, do you think TNA is the new WCW?
Appreciate the question. We've talked about this in the past as well. Don't necessarily think they're the new WCW, but in terms of their overall business model, but they definitely have a lot of similarities and stuff. And I do want to use this as maybe a segue to promote the live great debate between Conan and Glenn Gilberti, hosted by Scott Hudson this Thursday night. And Scott, real quick, I ought to probably make sure you're going to be around instead of putting you on the spot.
No, that's fine. I'll be here, Chris. But the caller's point is well taken. I've heard that question a lot, actually, especially at the very beginning when Vince Russo was with TNA, but almost as a silent booker, if you will, and now that he's back in the forefront is obviously not a silent booker. He's there. Everyone knows it. And it's really not a fair comparison because WCW, we always had the money of the cable company of Turner to support us. And now TNA has the money of Panda Energy to support them, but that's not the same company that owns Spike TV and owns the syndication network and all that. So our corporate parent could help us out in many, many more ways other than just by writing a check. So for TNA and WCW, the comparisons are legitimate at the surface level, but when you take it down one more level, what Panda Energy offers TNA is just money, and that's a big thing. But what Turner offered WCW was across the board, cross-promotion, marketing, merchandising, airtime, access to production facilities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So no, TNA is not the next WCW, but I understand how it appears that way.
I have a quick question from email at WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. Danny emails in asking, does anyone know what has happened to Raven? He was getting a push, it seemed, late last year, and now he's just been faded out again. Is he even employed by TNA anymore? I don't know if it's been reported out there because it was just, as you mentioned, he was kind of faded out by the company, and I spoke with him actually yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he definitely is done with TNA, and I guess it'd be a good time right now to let you know that Raven will be coming on to WrestleZone.com, as a matter of fact. So I do encourage you to look out for that. As a matter of fact, I believe Glenn Gilberti wants to have a live debate sometime in the next couple of weeks with him about ECW. Glenn Gilberti's never been a fan, even of the original ECW, and of course Raven played a big part in that. So should be interesting nonetheless. But look for Raven to be debuting on WrestleZone.com fairly soon with a new article and then doing that live debate and everything. So should be cool. But yes, Raven is done with TNA. We'll take a couple more emails and then take this phone call real quick. Caller, you're live on WrestleZone. What's up?
Hey, Scott. Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, going good, man.
Good, good. My question is about Mr. Kennedy. With us being on the road to WrestleMania, it seems as if every main eventer has a big match lined up, but Mr. Kennedy seems to be in some sort of limbo. What do you think is going to happen with him going towards WrestleMania?
Good question. Let me start that off with you, Scott. What do you think?
I have no idea. Earlier on, we talked about Kennedy being in the mix. With Hunter and Sean at the oh God, I'm drawing a complete blank, Chris. The match where they got the little cages outside the ring. What's it called?
Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber. God, why can't I think of that? I mean, so old. That Kennedy in that mix would be a good call. And honestly, I agree, because right now they don't have anything obviously lined up. But remember, we would have said the same thing for the winner of the Royal Rumble 24 hours ago.
Well, so I want to throw in there though, as of last night though, you saw signs of him against Ric Flair as well, and in that backstage segment, which if I will say so myself, HBK in that backstage bit with Triple H and Ric Flair and Batista, HBK when he wants to, he's still so damn funny. But there are talks about Mr. Kennedy, and I've even heard early signs of possibly having Kennedy against Ric Flair at WrestleMania and him being that guy. I know this is out there, man. I know this is out there, but Kennedy being that guy that actually beats Ric Flair. I don't necessarily see that happening, but we will be looking forward to, I guess, finding out what transpires and what develops between now and the next few weeks with Mr. Kennedy. I think you will have a very, very clear sign of which direction they're taking him in. I don't know if it's going to be on this next pay-per-view. I can see that happening because, as Kennedy mentioned last night, he was expecting himself to win the Rumble, and in the meantime, at this next pay-per-view, I think if I remember correctly, he had said something about then wrestling Ric Flair. But now that he's open as of right now for WrestleMania, if Mr. Kennedy happens to have the bandwagon behind him, again, there is that possibility, I guess, that he could go into WrestleMania to face Ric Flair. But that's a possibility, I think. Scott, somebody had mentioned in the email, or through email, I'm not exactly sure who it was, which I haven't even thought about, honestly. You immediately think Randy Orton will be challenged by John Cena after him winning the Rumble last night. But what is the possibility? What is the possibility they throw us another swerve and him challenge Edge?
Wow, that would work too. I think if you've got Edge and Cena and Orton, in any of those three, in pretty much any combo, I mean, they've pretty much all been done. But any mix of those three is good, because that leaves you with Undertaker and Shawn and Kennedy and Hunter. Whether they're underneath or above or whatever, but that's a good problem to have when you've got that much good main event talent, and you can still put them in the hopper and spin them around and see who comes out together. But that would be great with me. I just wish they could do something that we haven't seen before. But who knows? They're the company making $1 billion, not me. So we'll let them do it.
And I think Daniel actually emails in. Then we're gonna go ahead and take a short break. We might not even take a break. Might go ahead and just get Christy Hemme on and stuff. But Daniel emails in with the whole Cena versus Triple H towards the end of the Rumble. Who's going to go heel first, Cena or Triple H? And I think that's an interesting thing to notice. I guess a possibility for happening, but I don't think either one of them necessarily has to go face right now, go heel, right now. If Cena does go on to wrestle Randy Orton, obviously he'll remain a face, at least for the time being, I would imagine. And unless Triple H is involved in the mix, because you've got such a true heel on Randy Orton right now, I don't think necessarily Triple H has to go heel, obviously, either. So I'm going to go out on, I say go out on a limb, I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination by any means. And but to say that I don't think either one of them are quite ready. Now, after WrestleMania, I think that's when one of them probably will, maybe John Cena around that time, because I think Randy Orton does lose the title to one of them at WrestleMania, or at least there's a very good possibility that he will. But if he does, and Triple H and John Cena do end up locking up together, which I think that's inevitable possibly too, I think that's the time where you're probably going to see something transpire there. So, Scott, what do you think?
That's a valid point. Any match. This sounds like I'm in the guy's pocket, like you wouldn't believe. But any match that Hunter's in is going to work, and whoever they throw in against Hunter at WrestleMania is going to be a great match. The guy just knows what he's doing. He's a total pro. He knows how to get heat. Blah 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 blah. He's it. He's got it. I hate to keep harping on that, but we've seen it. We've seen Hunter against all three guys. We've seen Orton, Edge, and Cena against each other. We've seen tag teams. We've seen this. We've seen that. Let's do something new. If somebody just wants to do the research, and I guess I could have if I knew the question was coming, go back and check every record, every pay-per-view. I think I know the answer off the top of my head. What haven't we seen? What mix of that bunch have we not encountered? And let's see that. But, who knows? They're going to stick with what they know.
Guys, it is time. Let me go ahead and start. Let's call her up. Christy Hemme, our featured guest for tonight. We're going to go ahead and try to get her on the line. I called her during last break to see if she's around. And went to voicemail, but she wasn't expecting my phone call until now. So let's hope she's around.
Hi, this is Christy. I'm away from my phone. Leave a message after the beep, and I'll call you back later.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Hey, Christy, it's Chris Cash with WrestleZone Radio and Scott Hudson along with me. We are here live, trying to get you on the show, of course. But you're not around, so if you can, my cell phone number. Please call me as soon as you get this message to let me know that you are around and ready for the phone call. So we will wait for your call patiently, and we'll talk to you soon. You gotta love live radio, because then I figured, okay, if she doesn't happen to answer, we'll just leave her a sweet message on the air, and at least people can't complain that Christy Hemme wasn't on the show, because you did get to hear her voice.
Other than for the obvious reason, I'm really looking forward to talking to Christy Hemme. One, I've never met her, never spoken with her in my entire life, but in doing some research about her, she's a musician, she sings in a band and whatnot, and her musical influences. How about this, Chris? AC/DC, The Doors, 9 Inch Nails, Floyd, and Mother Love Bone. How about that? Do you know who Mother Love Bone is?
I don't think that I do.
Mother Love Bone was basically Pearl Jam before Eddie Vedder joined the band.
Ah, yeah.
Seattle grunge outfit that they made. Temple of the Dog was a tribute to a couple of guys in Mother Love Bone when Soundgarden Pearl Jam put that record out 15 years ago. So I'm really interested in talking to Christy about everything, and especially her music. I'm a music freak, and that's an eclectic set of influences she's got.
I guess I'm interested. I mean, I've talked to her numerous times in the past, and did get the opportunity to meet her at Bound for Glory in 2006, I believe. Smoking, so obviously for the obvious reasons that you mentioned, or you didn't have to mention. That's obviously why I love talking to her. But I just want to know if she's single again.
Well, I'm not, so that more power to you.
No, I'm not either, but it's still good to know. And but she apparently, if I'm not mistaken, was dating the Guitar Hero man now, which is another thing that I hope Conan buries Glenn about. Lance Hoyt. But nevertheless, I think that they're no longer together. And so I was looking forward to talking to her about her music as well, Hemi, her band, and then, of course, TNA, the new Knockouts division, what she actually thinks about, to me, and I'll probably even tell her, I think it's a horrific storyline. Do you think that it would be offensive and insulting if I called it that? Should I come up with a different descriptive word?
Not if you want to have her interview last more than 20 seconds. Not to come up with a different.
Well, I don't know. I think that she knows that it's just my opinion, and I think she knows me well enough to know that I do try to ask some harder questions occasionally, as long as it's not crossing a boundary. But you know, it's an opinion, and I guess horrific is kind of a strong word, even though that may be the way that I feel. But I do think that it's a pretty terrible storyline. You know?
Yeah. Well, again, this goes back to what you and I were talking about when Conan was with us in setting up the debate Thursday night here on WZROnline.com about TNA, and that is just the booking. You know, it's just not, something's missing. I was talking to a friend of mine in Texas on the phone earlier today about TNA, and what we came up with was an idea that what you've got are two, and this is only an opinion, this isn't inside information, I can assure you, but it seems to me that you've got two, like, freight trains that run headlong into each other, engine to engine, back up, and keep doing it. And right. Somewhere in that explosion is supposed to be the booking. You've got guys that want to put over the old WWF guys and be a WWF light, and you've got the guys that want to be a complete alternative to the WWE, rather. You got the guys that want to be an alternative to the WWE and pretend they don't exist. And, you know, and that mix, you know, they should decide which way they're going to go, because I think they've got the talent backstage and in the ring to do one really well, but they're doing both poorly right now.
You know, and if Nick, somebody had mentioned earlier, Nick's always been a good impressionist.
Yeah.
Would be very good to have him on. We could have just faked it the entire way, and we could have had our interview with Christy, or at least we could have had it with Don West possibly, or China. We could have always had it with either one of them. And
right.
Yeah, so let me try something real quick too, Scott. While we got a second here, I'm just going to try. I've got another phone number for her, but generally she doesn't. She's not around that one. Now she's at the house if it's her home number. I don't actually know which one it is, but I'm going to try it on my cell phone so we don't have to waste live time here. And then, guys, I do want to mention, oh, wait a minute. I've got a 310 number calling me. I wonder if this is her. Hold on. Hello? Christy? You are a little late, and what number is this? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and relay the phone number over the air live, and then I'll be calling you along with 1,000 other wrestling fans in a moment. No, I'll call you right back. Bye. Okay, very cool. Got confirmation. Christy Hemi says she just doesn't get very good reception. So, had I called her home line, maybe she would have answered. Should have thought about that. Nevertheless, let me go ahead and get her on. She is ready to go. And, guys, you can email in. We'll try to get to a couple of your questions. No phone calls, though, because it'll just take too much time. You can email in questions for Christy. WrestleZoneRadio@yahoo.com. I'm going to cut it a little bit short tonight, but nevertheless, that'll be okay. We're leading you into Monday Night Raw. Christy Hemi, our featured guest, about to come on as soon as my fingers can type in this number. Scott, you excited, man?
Oh, I'm pumped. Again, I want to talk music. We'll certainly talk a little wrestling, but mostly music.
All right. Such a bore.
Hello?
Christy.
Hi.
How are you doing? Welcome to WrestleZone Radio Live.
Oh, we're live. Good.
We are live, and I am joined by former WCW and TNA announcer Scott Hudson as my special guest co-host. Scott, meet Christy. Christy, meet Scott.
Christy, it is indeed a pleasure to meet you finally. I've enjoyed your work.
Very nice to meet you, too. Over the phone, of course.
And Christy, we've got to get to things pretty quickly here. Again, WrestleZone at Yahoo.com. We'll try to get to a couple of your good questions, only if they're good, for Christy towards the end of the hour. And Christy, I've got to just start off and mention TNA, of course, and just kind of get your overall thoughts on how TNA's been treating you lately and what you think about your current storylines, what's been going on.
Well, I mean, TNA's always been very good to me. I've never been unhappy there, and right now things just keep moving forward and getting better, and everything there within the company is just growing so much. I'm just happy to be a part of it, you know. Right.
What do you think personally about being paired up with the Rock and Rave connection? Do you like that gimmick? Do you like so? Because I told Scott that I was going to bring it up earlier. And I'm going to try to be as politically correct as I can because I'm a huge fan of yours, and you know this going way back. I promise you that much. But the actual storyline and the group itself, you know, to me, I'm going to use the word cheesy in a way, especially with the Guitar Hero stuff. And I guess I'm really kind of curious to your thoughts on it and what the process of coming up with this gimmick, behind the scenes was. What do you think?
Well, it's been it happened really quickly. I had no clue when I went to TV. But we've been doing this other stuff, where, I've just been this angry girl for so long that for me, it's, whether it's cheesy or not, I'm so happy to, come out there and be, laughing again. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm you know what? It's stupid, and I'm messing around with it, and you know what? I'm having a blast doing it. So whether everybody likes it, hates it, it's heel, it's face, I don't care because I'm having fun.
Are you a Guitar Hero fanatic though?
Well, I played it, here and there and stuff, and I'll take my hand at it. It's just we're more doing the thing with the Rock Band.
Sure.
It's the Rock Band game. I don't know if you know about that one.
Yeah. Actually, I did. I didn't notice. Well, then why y'all haven't come out with the drum sets then or anything?
I know.
Or the
well, that's for future stuff. We need to audition a drummer.
Oh, okay. I see. I know.
It's ridiculous, which is why it's going to be fun to do.
Right. Well,
I don't know how long it'll last, but at least it's fun. For me, at least. I don't have to be serious or anything.
Well, because of your, and then I know Scott wants to get into a little bit of a couple of music questions actually for you and stuff regarding your band, and we'll get into that in just a second. But you brought up about being angry all the time, which you used to be, and Kip James was on last week, good friend of the show, good friend of mine. As are you, and I wanted to find out, because I think the last time I talked to you, and Kip for that matter, on air, it was back when y'all were doing y'all's thing together, and of course you did have that kind of angry gimmick, and that storyline going on with the two of them. It was kind of dropped pretty abruptly, and I was just curious to the story behind that.
It was just, I don't think anybody knew what was happening or where they were going with it, or what the payoff for it was. And for me, going through it was just very confusing. I was just kind of, it was bringing up a lot of stuff that really internally made me upset. And so I kind of was I'm happy that it's over, And on both sides, though, there was actually some truth to what what both of y'all were saying. Yeah, I think both of us were kind of living some reality there, and all I know is that when I go to work, I don't like being upset, and I don't like being angry, and I don't that I don't think that I should feel that way in the workplace, so I'm happy that I don't have to anymore. Sure. Scott, go ahead, man. I know it'll be a good segue into promoting your band, Hemi, and you can promote a couple of things if you got some stuff going on, your MySpace, of course, and where they can go hear your music, because I've been checking it out in the last week or two. And what do you think of it? I'm a fan. I was surprised because we heard a while back about Lita's band, so I went to check that out, and it's kind of so-so. I'm wasn't the biggest fan, but I was actually impressed. I had no idea that you could sing. Wow. I'm glad it was at least a little bit of a surprise. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, what is this going to be like, Right. So I'm really excited about it. We're working on the album as we speak, and in fact we're going to be recording tonight. But it's getting close to being finished, and we have, you know, so much coming up, just some like shows and all this. We just did a couple Easy Rider tour dates, and everybody can definitely go check out the MySpace. It's MySpace.com/Hemi Band. So. And
Scott, real quick, good segue. Like I said, you, I think, have some things in common, or we're actually impressed with Christy's choice in music.
Christy, first, please don't be offended by Chris telling you that your music is better than Lita's.
It's very different than hers, so I hope that people know that, you know.
Damning with faint praise. She's a nice girl, but it's different music, and I'm not into that. It's excellent, terrific, and I'm kind of a music snob myself, but I see on some of the bios on you, and who knows how real this is. I've got the same bios out there about me, and some of it's a work and some's a shoot, but an eclectic mix of musical influences listed for you, from AC/DC to The Doors to Floyd, my all-time favorite band. Is that legit?
Yeah, no, those are, I mean, all growing up, that's what I've been listening to, and a lot of, like, the classic rock stuff. And then, you know, we were, you know, got a lot, some of the more industrial type stuff thrown in there, too, with some tracks that you guys haven't heard yet. But it's just, it's such a wide range, and I wanted to be able to, I mean, in my own life, the way that I feel, you know, you get emotions ranging from, you know, just your sweet moments to your angry and your heavy and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted the album to feel like the soundtrack that you could listen to all day long, and it would change with your mood, and you can listen to it working out, or you could, it's for everybody, and it's definitely going to be a piece of art. Each song is like a little piece of art, and I'm excited to release it and have everybody hear it.
Well, it sounds like, based on your description, that it's going to be like the Downward Spiral 2.
Yeah.
And that would be fantastic. It's one of my favorite albums ever.
Yes.
Christy, somebody's asking in the chat room if you write your own music.
I write the lyrics and like some of the melodies and stuff like that, but the music part itself is written by my co-writer, and his name is Slick, and you can check out him on there too. But he's basically my partner in all this. It's the two of us as far as the writing process goes.
Right. And when did you actually start this? I mean, I know we've been hearing a lot about it, at least lately, but how long has this been going on?
For the past couple of years, when I left WWE, I started waking up in the middle of the night, and I would have like lyrics and melodies and stuff coming out of my head. I would write them down, or I'd hum them into my home phone machine and stuff, and I'd wake up and I'd be like, this is so weird, I don't know what's going on, you know? And I've always had a huge voice, just no control over it whatsoever, just a loud girl, you know? And so after it started becoming this thing where I was just writing all the time, I couldn't stop writing, and I couldn't stop thinking of these melodies, and I started to see like this story of what I wanted it to be, because the album itself is a concept album. It's about a girl who, it's a journey of finding who she is, and she goes through all these different things to get there. But really, I decided then and there that I was like, this is getting pretty heavy for me, so I started taking singing lessons, and, you know, I dived into it, you know. So since then, I've just been, you know, working hard at it, and now we're putting an album together.
All right. I've got a couple of emails. Like I said, you can email in, and that I'm going to take here anyway. Marshall Grad, anyway, is the email address. Wanted to know from Christy, I heard on the website that you were auctioning off wrestling boots that belonged to Stephanie McMahon. He wants to know if there was any hidden agenda behind it, or a way to get even with the WWE for getting rid of you, or if it was simply coincidence that Stephanie owned the boots.
Well, they're mine. I just am selling them because I don't wear them anymore. I got a new pair of boots I've been wearing for almost 2 years now. And so, I mean, there's so much stuff in my closet that I just don't wear. And I took, the other day I had, one of the guys that does like a bunch of photo shoots for me come over, and we just shot it all because I need to downsize my closet. So if whoever gets those lucky little boots is going to get a phone call from me, and I'm glad to get rid of them.
All right. And Christy, another quick email from Sam, which I was actually interested in myself as well. Got to be impressed with TNA's knockout division. Gail Kim, Awesome Kong has been phenomenal. And in my personal opinion, I've said it on the show actually in the past. It's amazing and crazy at the same time to see, in my opinion, to see that the women's division is actually the best thing, or at least has been at times, the best thing on TNA television. I truly believe that. I think they were amazing. And then, of course, Sam wants to know, though, if you're ever going to get a title shot in TNA, and he thinks you and Gail Kim are like the best in TNA. And then, that's what he wants to know.
I'm so incredibly proud of this division. It's the camaraderie backstage between the girls. It's just amazing. Like, we're so thankful to be given the opportunity to, like, take it and, you know, I mean, they really gave us the ball and we're running with it, because it isn't like a rinky-dink or like a fluffy kind of division. I mean, the girls are working hard and going at it, and I definitely want a title shot at some point. They have other plans for me in this moment, just because they've got me with the boys and they've got, you know, girls, you know, doing their thing. But I think definitely one day I'll be able to have my chance at it too, for sure.
Ure.
I got to say, what TNA is doing with the ladies division, with the knockout, is so much the antithesis of what the WWE is doing, where they bring out eye candy that, you know, some can wrestle, some can't, some are athletes, some are not, you know, and what TNA is doing is bringing out athletes, and the fact that Christy's on the phone with us, I certainly would say this if she wasn't. She's a beautiful woman. They all are. With the, you know, Awesome Kong's not going to turn any heads, but the rest of them are all very beautiful. But before that, they're athletes. And that's something that WWE is missing.
I just don't think that they care as much, you know, and I think that the fans, I mean, TNA is a very different product. It doesn't look, or it's not the same as WWE at all. So we are offering something different as far as the girls go. There aren't really a whole lot of girls running around doing bra and panty matches. You know, like, it just isn't going to happen. It'll never happen at TNA. And I'm happy that it won't.
And I look forward to seeing you also get back in the ring. I know that's one thing that you've always wanted more of, and hopefully you'll get that in the near future. And before we get out of here, Christy, I'll get a couple of more promotional things out of the way, or else I'll allow you to anyway before we do. But Raw's about to be starting up. Every guy, of course, in America wants to know, and specifically Scott Hudson told me before during the last commercial break that I had to ask you this. It has nothing to do with me, and feel free to disregard the question if you would like, but we have heard some rumors and some stories about you and a certain somebody backstage. And I'm just curious, as everybody else in the chat room and everybody emailing me that I've been trying to disregard would like to know if Christy Hemme is now tied up or not.
You mean like with a boyfriend or with somebody backstage?
Or both, yes.
But wait, because I don't know this information. Who am I supposedly with backstage?
You don't know this information.
No, I don't know.
You don't read the internet?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Well, I figured you would have known.
So please inform me, who am I dating backstage?
Well, apparently, although it's news to you, apparently you're dating Mr. Lance Hoyt.
No.
and it's not obviously, you know, for the very apparent reasons and y'all's, you know, storyline on camera, but
well, we're not even boyfriend and girlfriend on TV anymore, so yay.
Well, agreed, but I mean, it's just that's not when it came up, or I guess it was after the fact. I guess I don't remember the exact time frame, but that's what they had reported. So I figured, you know, who better to ask than you?
He did send me a text, though, I think it was like a couple weeks ago, saying that there's rumors on the internet that he broke up with me. And I was like, oh, I'm so sad.
All right, so you're not just denying it on camera or on air.
Yeah. No, we're not a thing. And he's got a girlfriend back home too. They laugh about it.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Well, hey, Scott, I'll leave it up for you to ask Miss Christy Hemme the last question of the evening before we let her plug a couple of things and get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, Christy, and say in 4 years from now, say in 2008, January 2012, would you rather be headlining Rock in Rio or headlining WrestleMania?
I will never be headlining WrestleMania. Because I'll never go back to WWE.
Okay, well, would you rather be headlining a TNA pay-per-view or headlining Rock in Rio?
My dear, are you saying, like, would I rather be doing music or wrestling?
There you go.
I'm doing both, and I'm going to do a fabulous job at it. Because I'm a woman of many hats, and I can handle it.
Answer. Very good answer.
Yes, I love both. Yeah, and I don't want to stop doing either one, and I'm so happy with my life right where it is right now. And whether it whatever it may happen, whether it progresses or not, I'm happy doing these shows around LA, and I'm happy being at TNA when I go there, when we go do the pay-per-views. I'm just really in a good place in my life, and I'm not giving up either one.
Now, never, I'm interested to know, never, ever back to WWE.
Never, ever. They couldn't offer me enough money.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't think you were, now, is this due to, like, newfound bitterness? Because I didn't think that you were mad at him.
I've always felt this way.
Oh, okay.
I'm just, like, I'm definitely a person who sticks by my honor and the things that I believe in, and I believe that I'm in a good place right now. I believe that TNA is a good company that has a heart, and I wouldn't go someplace where I'd feel like I was losing that piece of myself. Whether you couldn't pay me enough, no matter what job it is in the world, to do something that I didn't believe in, you know?
I remember. No, go ahead, Scott.
The limited amount of time I spent in the WWF, WWE, whenever in 2000 in 2001 after WCW went in there. Not that I'm ever going to be asked, but I would never go back. I wouldn't even go to a house show for that crowd. So
So you're an honorable man as well.
I remember when Christy Hemme came on the Voice of Wrestling show right after her release. She said, I kind of remember vividly, or at least I remember the quote vividly. Now I'm 99% positive it was from Christy, and maybe you'll remember. You had said that it was like a boyfriend had broken up with you.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming no amount of flowers or candy or money, as you mentioned. You just would not go back.
No, it's almost like, when someone breaks up with you and then you realize that it was the best thing that could have ever happened because it was so wrong that you needed to have that happen, or you needed to have whatever it was happen just so that it could open your eyes to know what you would never do again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how I feel, because I'm in a place where I don't feel that, like, oh, am I really, like, in this? You know what I mean? Right. And I've always loved the wrestling business. That hasn't changed for me at all. But I'm now in a place where I can, go to work and feel good every time I go,
Hey, Christy, real quick, too, Glenn Gilberti is a WrestleZone.com employee now, working with us and stuff. Any funny or good stories about your time with him now that he's there in TNA?
I'm trying to think. Well, I accidentally stole his Polaroid camera once.
Oh, really?
We were at a house show, but I ended up getting it back to him. I can't think of anything with him.
Polaroid. So it's a Polaroid camera, so it's one of those, like, disposable ones?
No, it's like those Polaroids. You can get those quick shots or whatever.
Oh, right. So you can't go back and actually see what he had taken pictures of. You didn't find any, like, embarrassing pictures or anything, right?
He's so great, though. We're so happy to have him there.
He's a good guy. And Christy, I really appreciate you. Throw out a couple of plugs, though. Throw out your MySpace one more time and your official website.
My personal MySpace is Hemi Powered, or the band MySpace is Hemi Band. And also, keep checking out the TNA website because I just did a new photo shoot a couple days ago, and they put up a video on it, but all the new pictures should be going up really soon. So check it out.
And I forgot to say congratulations. You beat every one of them little punks up there up north in that Playboy poll as well.
I think it's just kind of funny.
You think it's funny?
I think it's funny, a knockout winning their poll, and it was like they were the one putting it on WWE. So. And
it's the ultimate compliment for you.
It is. I think it's more of a TNA thing, though. I'm really happy that I think that the fans were just wanted TNA to win that one. So I thought it was really cool that they really supported us for that.
Yeah, I agree. Christy, I appreciate it as always. Thank you very much, and good luck with everything that you're doing up there in TNA.
Thank you.
And you're very welcome. We'll have you on in the future.
Okay, bye.
That's Christy Hemme, and this has been WrestleZone Radio. I'm Chris Cash. Make sure you tune in next week. We got Buff Bagwell. I'm trying to land us a couple of really big guests that's got a lot going on as well. I think we've delivered thus far in our little run here at WrestleZone Radio. Expect a lot more bigger and better things in the future. And Scott Hudson, I really appreciate you coming on in short notice. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I really enjoyed having you on as the special guest co-host.
Spending a Monday night with Conan and Christy Hemme and you, that's fantastic. A wonderful surprise. And check out the website tomorrow. A new column about John Cena should be up first thing in the morning.
And then on Thursday, do not forget, Scott Hudson, you are hosting, again, the great debate, the last one. If you did not check it out, it is on WrestleZone.com in the editorial section. It's archived there. Make sure you check it out. It was a debate on the fall and death of WCW between Conan and Glenn Gilberti. Those two will go back at it with mediator and host Scott Hudson this Thursday night on TNA's creative department. And Conan, not a big fan, obviously. Glenn, of course, is. So we will be having that on Thursday evening. And you can talk with Scott Hudson and Conan, Glenn Gilberti, and a host of others in the official WrestleZone.com forums. Guys, Raw's already started. Enjoy it. And we'll see you next Monday night, 7 to 9 Eastern, here at WrestleZone Radio. See you later, everybody.